So now we rewind the clock back to February of 2002. Sega has just gone third party and released their latest 3D Sonic title on the GameCube to draw in a new audience. A play that worked out for them, as Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is, at least currently in the Sonic cycle, a beloved game. But accompanying that release was a new series starting on Nintendo's Game Boy Advance, that being Sonic Advance. This game's entire goal was to bring 2D Sonic action to the handheld while maintaining the modern Sonic aesthetic, and they knocked it out of the park. To jump ahead here, I absolutely adore how this series looks. The way they translated Yuji Uekawa's artworks of the characters into 2D sprites was nothing short of perfect. Every frame of animation for Sonic and his friends are just iconic and perfectly captures the characters in sprite form. You know, the best part about talking about these games in these upcoming series of videos is that for once we got Sonic games with, for the most part, simple stories. Here in the first advance, Dr. Eggman is up to no good, so Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and for the first time Amy take it upon themselves to once again stop him. No government conspiracies, no earth or water monster gods, just Sonic and his friends jumping on robots, collecting rings, and putting a stop to Eggman's scheme to conquer the world. This game, and to jump ahead by extension the other games I'll be talking about in the other videos, I played a shit ton as a kid. Though I never owned a Game Boy Advance, as I was born after the DS, I later owned a smart device capable of emulating all these games. And the Game Boy Advance was always my favorite to emulate games for. I got lots of fond memories playing Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga, Alien Hominid, and the Kirby games on GBA, and a metric shit ton. Wow, we're doing that now. And a metric shit ton of Sonic Advance. I played this trilogy religiously, at home and in school. I just thought visually they looked so cool and were so much fun gameplay wise. And even when replaying the original Sonic Advance for this video, I had a smile on my face pretty much the whole time. This game controls pretty close to the original Genesis titles, you know, jump with A, hold down, and the jump button to spin dash. It's all there with some minor differences in the physics department, but overall the average person won't notice. It's stuff like the characters being a tad bit slower to reach their top speed, how they interact with slopes at times. It's hard to put it exactly into words, but those familiar with the Genesis games will sort of know what I'm talking about. Though something new and unique to the Advanced games is that they give some of these characters some new moves. No longer are we a one-button game anymore now, we've evolved to 2 buttons. Characters now have a unique action when pressing the B button. For Sonic, his is arguably the most useless, but he gets a somersault that can damage enemies. I say it's useless though, because you have to press the B button twice for the move to actually do damage. Sonic does a mini roll before it that doesn't have a hurt box so it can get you hit. Don't know why they added this. It's not like if you do it on a slope you build more speed. You actually slow down to a crawl, so it's really only for handling enemies ahead of you. Seems they agreed too, because in the sequels they took this part out, so it's just a damaging slide, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Regardless, Sonic is still the most fun character to play as, despite his lackluster B actions, as I'll dub them. But he actually has another new move, which is something no other character has, that greatly makes up for it. This awesome air dash you get when double tapping forward in the air. This thing gives you a nice burst of forward momentum, which can help with picking up speed, especially after you just got hit. It's a move I spam all the time, as you no doubt can see by my footage. It's just that useful. Sonic also has his Insta Shield from Sonic 3, which is also always useful. Can never get tired of extending my hitbox to hit stuff just out of reach. But outside of that, another thing unique to Sonic, and oddly enough Amy as well, is that the 2 hedgehogs can grind on rails. In Advance 1, off the top of my head, I can think of like 2 grind rails in the entire game, and one of them is in the first zone. Yeah, I get their inclusion, you know, we're really putting our best foot forward to bring over the, at the time, modern Sonic aesthetic, and a part of that with the release of Sonic Adventure 2 is grind rails. But here in the first game, they're really underutilized to the point I wonder why they're even here at all. Plus, you can only use them if you jump on them at the start of the rail. If you hit the middle, you'll fall through it, which kinda kills the pacing of the level, cause you gotta stop and position yourself to use these things, and then you gotta wait to slide down it. It's just not very fluent. It's also odd when you consider the fact that that's not even how rails worked in Adventure 2, so I wonder why they decided it would be a good idea to add that limitation. But it's whatever, you know, they're in like 2 zones, and there's never a point where you have to interact with them to progress or survive. To continue on with character abilities, Tails can fly as per usual, but he also gets a neat little tail swipe attack lifted from Sonic Adventure. It's pretty useful, you know, doesn't put Tails in too much danger unlike Sonic's ability. Knuckles gets the same deal, along with his usual gliding and climbing walls. You can punch enemies, which is also useful. But the character with the biggest shakeup for a 2D game is Amy. It's her first time getting some 2D action, and she plays exactly how she did in Sonic Adventure, but translated to the 2D plane. Meaning she can't curl into a ball and needs to swing her hammer at enemies to destroy them. I thought when I was doing her playthrough I was gonna enjoy it the least, and yeah, I did. But that's not to say she was bad, just different. Like, I'd sooner do a playthrough with the other characters, but there's some cool things that only Amy can do. Like when she hits a spring with her hammer, she goes higher up than just jumping on it will send you. While you do have to consciously attack enemies in mid-air with your hammer due to her not curling up into a ball, this can actually have some advantages because the hitbox on the hammer swing is wider than even the insta-shield Sonic has. This has its uses like being able to absolutely decimate the Ice Mountain boss, whereas the other characters have to jump on the falling stalactites to hit him. Amy can just swing her hammer and end the fight in seconds. Playing the game as Amy wasn't terrible, but I probably wouldn't do it again for a while. Though if you're going for the bonus zone at the end of the game, you have to beat the game as her, as well as everyone else. Good God, let's talk about these zones so we can talk about special stage hunting. This game has 7 main zones. On their own, I can generally say I like the lineup we have. Neo Green Hill isn't even at all that reminiscent of Green Hill, it's more so an urban Angel Island with the zone starting off on a beach, transitioning into a forest, and then ending with a boss fight on a bridge, to presumably a city I always imagined. It's nothing to write home about, but pleasant all the same. Though Secret Base is pretty good. It definitely has my favorite track in the game, and I like how it starts with you entering the base while searchlights are flailing in the background. Casino Paradise is a pretty stage with carnival elements plastered all over the place. You know, clowns, bouncy balls, all that jazz. I also like the addition of these flags that the characters can grab onto and launch themselves forward at a higher speed. It can make some of the flat stretches of the stage more exhilarating. Ice Mountain is a fun zone that you think would be annoying with it being a water level, but as I probably stated in past Sonic videos, Sonic water levels are awesome usually, and this one, no matter who you're playing as, is a fun time. Though Act 2's music always reminds me of this Sonic parody I saw when I was a little kid, where Tails was singing about having Christmas in the lava zone.
Christmas in the lava zone. It's the greatest time of the year. Christmas in the lava zone. Greatest place to spread Christmas cheer. Yeah!
Loved watching this shit back then. Beyond that, Ice Mountain is just cozy above all else. But next up, oddly enough, is Angel Island. But instead of running through a lush jungle area, we're more so running through an area filled with ancient ruins. It looks really cool, and I like the music the zone has. I haven't really mentioned the bosses, cause honestly most of them here are nothing of note, which hey, I'd rather Sonic bosses be nothing of note than outright annoying as you'll see in future titles. Hell, there's some examples of this even later in this video. But a good Sonic boss in my book is something that's fun to tear apart while putting up decent resistance. Which is why I like the Metal Knuckles fight at the end of Angel Island. It's unique as the only other Metal Knuckles variant I can think of is the Metal Knuckles from Sonic R, but he hasn't made an appearance in anything besides 2023 Sonic Superstars and its multiplayer, but before that he hasn't been in anything since Sonic R. I like how he initially appears as a Knuckles look-alike with some of the details off, like having golden gloves, a more pink fur color, and his shoes being more pink than red. It kinda reminds me of how Knuckles looked in Sonic 3 when you're playing as Sonic and Knuckles is just the NPC, but I don't know if that's on purpose or not. But after bashing him a few times, he drops the facade and becomes completely metallic and starts firing missiles and shit at you from his mouth, which is cool as fuck. This one encounter makes Angel Island that much more memorable and distinct in advance, which I appreciate. It was a cool addition. Next up is Egg Rocket Zone, a very unique zone as the timer counts down instead of up as your goal is to catch Eggman's rocket before bits of it break off with this departure. It's a pretty cool zone, but this specifically is where Sonic Advance starts to have some dickish enemy placement, where just following the level design results in you crashing into badness left and right, or careening into a bed of spikes, which is extremely annoying. I'd say up until this point Advance was light on the beginner's trap, so to speak. Everything level design wise felt fair just until you land into the Egg Rocket Zone. And unfortunately for some reason this level design trend sort of continues into its sequels to varying degrees. For now though, we press on to the last real zone, Cosmic Angel, which is just filled with spikes, annoying enemy placement, and these odd contraptions that launch you everywhere for spectacle. As far as final Sonic levels go, this one is fairly weak unfortunately. Of course, if you've been playing this game for as long as I have, you know where all the problem areas are and how to avoid them, but zones in general should always be fun on a first playthrough so people actually want to replay them. As cool of a concept that Egg Rocket is, if someone thinks this spring that unfairly launches you straight into an enemy is annoying, they're less likely to replay the stage, or upon replay of the whole game, they'll groan when getting here, which isn't the legacy you want your levels to have. But now that I've gone over the main chunk of levels, I can talk about how to get the Chaos Emeralds, the method of which changes in each title in this sub-series, and to me, I think Advance 1 did it the best. Instead of getting 50 rings and reaching the end of the stage or finding large rings to be transported to the special stage, here you gotta find the special stage spring hidden in one of the acts in each zone, minus that rocket. And in Ice Mountain's case, both acts, because why not, I guess. You see, having to memorize specific spots in a level isn't a problem. Sonic CD did it with its generators, and honestly, MacGuffin placement wise, I'd say CD was worse with the generators because sometimes it'll be hidden in some cryptic ass area, like in the one in Metallic Madness with the piston. Sonic Advance's special stage springs don't have bad placement generally speaking. If you know where it is, you can make your way to them with every character consistently, and if you don't know, like I didn't up until a while ago, poke around the level and eventually you'll find it. Or use a guide map. Wouldn't blame you with this series. Thing is, despite CD having generators hidden in more cryptic spots, to me it's less of a headache going for them because I can see so much more in CD in comparison to Advance. Yes, the GBA screen was tiny, so there's a shit ton of screen crunch. And if it weren't for me playing these levels so many times over the years and gaining a feel for the layout just to be able to finish the game comfortably at a good pace, the gameplay you see before you would no doubt be me bumping into shit and taking damage because you just can't see certain hazards coming. Same thing for platforms out of view. If moving level design is off screen, then you gotta mentally time out when the best time to shoot for the platform is while accounting for whatever danger is around it. Perfect example being the first special stage spring in Neo Green Hill. You gotta dash up to this platform so you can hit this spring, all while avoiding the buzz bomber who shoots a projectile. And once you're on the spring, you gotta land on these platforms that are mostly off screen, so it's a leap of faith, but if you make it, then the platforms will take you to the spring. There's a lot of instances like that getting to the special stage springs, and it's all a culprit of the Game Boy Advance's small screen. If Sonic Advance had the screen real estate as the classic games, none of this would be an issue. The springs are hidden in decent spots, it's just that the screen crunch makes looking for them a pain in the ass. Which is crazy because the special stages themselves are actually pretty fun and unique. They have you falling down a tube in space collecting rings while avoiding bombs. You can also time a B press through these orange rings to score bonus rings, but it might take a few tries as this is a 2D game trying to simulate a 3D space, so there's going to be a depth perception barrier for some. I know for me, it took a while for me to be able to time out the tricks, but it's satisfying as fuck to pull off. Honestly, if the game got a port or remaster that gave it proper widescreen, this might be one of my favorite Sonic games to special stage hunting, no lie. The whole trilogy needs a remaster with widescreen. Sega needs to hop on that. It's literally free money just sitting there, but I digress. Regardless, I got all the emeralds and you don't get a playable Super Sonic in the game stages. Instead, you get a Super Sonic final boss after you beat the normal final boss. With all 4 characters, of course. It's only been in the last few years that I've been going for the Chaos Emerald in Advance 1, so I often forget about this detail that you need to beat the game with every character at least once in order to unlock the Super Sonic final boss on the Moon Zone. Granted, this is another Sonic Hero situation where you're not told to marathon each story back to back like I did, but you know, it was annoying when gathering footage for this video. Also, I'm skipping over the X Zone because it's not really a zone, you just fight the first boss from Sonic 1 and 2 and then the normal final boss of the game, which is a fucking aggravating fight, oh my god. I swear I can never find a good opening to hit this motherfucker. Deadass, every time I go for it during one of his 4 attacks, I always end up taking damage. Because of this, I always damage boost my way through the fight. And they also had the perfect opportunity to reference Sonic Pocket Adventure with this hand attack. Every time I see it, I always think he's gonna slam the shit out of me like he did in that game, which would have been funny as shit. Hell, add that goofy ass face Eggman makes when he was doing it too. But yeah, this fight low-key sucks. The Supersonic fight on the moon is better though. It's the typical ram Supersonic into the boss's weak points with several attacks built to drain your rings and of course re-zeroing your perfect the base and die in space whole shtick. But it's more enjoyable than the last fight. And also I like ramming into his head, especially for the final blow. But afterwards, Sonic goes on a little spirit flight, I guess, because he's not seen for a while until Tails finds him flying through the air while patrolling on a tornado. But the game just ends there. Like I said, no gods or anything, just Super Sonic taking down Eggman, which is fine. Not every game needs to have an over-the-top spectacle. It's okay to have more grounded Sonic games. The story more than serves its purpose. But to wrap up, Sonic Advance is a good entry in the series and a really solid start to the sub-series. I like the levels, the playable characters, the music. Oh god, the music is really good. And despite the annoying final boss, every other encounter I'd say is a pleasant time. The special stages are a fun time once you're used to them, but getting into them can be a pain in the ass if you don't already know where the special stage springs are. Something cool though is that every character shares Chaos Emeralds in this game, so you don't even have to get them all as Sonic if you're struggling to. You can use a character with better mobility like Tails and breathe a little easier if you choose to search for them. You'll still have to deal with the screen crunch and being blindsided by shit, but it'll definitely be a more comfortable search than using a character like Sonic or Amy. If you haven't played a Sonic game, I'd say it's no big deal to start here, but I'd sooner point you to the classic titles first if you're starting with 2D Sonic. Anyways, I was going to make this one large advanced trilogy video, but you know what, I decided to break them up into their own individual videos. I got enough to say about each of them to make it worth it, and also it gives me more time to throw a little bonus video in there. Sonic fans probably already know what the game is, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, if you made it this far, of course, thanks for watching, and of course, have a good rest of your day. Peace.